Welcome.
Welcome to the Everything Podcast. On this episode, I'm going to be recapping the Big Finish podcast episode that was released on the 5th of January 2025. I actually use what the title of the episode is, like I do with everything else, not the date. I do need to find out, because they're called Strange Things because they did explain why, but I can't remember the exact reason. But yeah, and this is actually my first Big Finish episode. Obviously, it's a very different Big Finish episode because it's not of an actual release, it's of a podcast episode, but it is quite helpful. Like, I really like the chat, because especially this episode in particular, because they show lots of trailers, and the trailers, most of the I think all of the trailers that are featured in this episode will be featured in other episodes. If you're why aren't you showing all the trailers, that's because I'll be spreading them across the episodes, the previous episodes for the next time podcast, what to expect in the next episode. So without further ado, here's my recap of the Big Finish podcast episode released on the 5th of January 2025. We start off with a brief clip from the first Doctor Adventures, The Living Darkness appears. Yes, I've already written my review for that, so that's to come. Benji wishes us a happy new year and introduces this episode. Nick and Benji outline what this episode will include. Nikki and Benji discuss Zygon Sentry infiltration, which is actually coming out tomorrow from when I'm recording, but would have been out ages by the time you're seeing this. The traitors? No, that's a different thing. The trailer for Zygon Sentry infiltration is here, which I will play in a future episode. Benji and Nick discuss Classic Doctor's New Monsters, Faithful Friends, which again I will be recapping, so that will be released in about a week or so from when I'm recording. The trailer for Classic Doctor's New Monsters, Faithful Friends is heard. Obviously I'll be showing you that in a future episode. Nick mentions The Fugitive Doctor. The trailer for The Fugitive Doctor Most Wanted is heard, which obviously you'll hear the trailer I'm obviously reviewing. I've actually reviewed the first 15-20ish minutes of it due to a free excerpt as part of the Big Finish newsletter. Nick mentions Torchwood Yanto's Inferno, which, similar to the others, I will be recapping in a future episode, with the trailer for Torchwood in Yanto's Inferno is heard, which I will share in a future episode. Benji lists the Big Finish February 2025 releases. I should mention that for Big Finish, I only cover the Whoniverse releases, so that's anything to do Doctor Who or Doctor Who adjacent. A clip from Call Me Master Inner Demons is heard. I was actually really happy when I heard this, because as of time of recording and when I was writing that episode, the trailer for Call Me Master Inner Demons hadn't been released. It could come out today when I'm recording, which is then going to make this episode really dated. Call Me Master Inner Demons is probably going to be out by the time you'll watch this episode, so there we go. But yeah, I'll be recapping that, definitely. And Nick lists some of the other Big Finish 2025 releases. Benji compares Big Finish releases to a music festival. Benji does a Cyberman impression. Benji introduces the Good Review Guy. Even the trailer for the 5th Doctor Adventures Conflict of Interest can be heard. Nick and Benji read out some reviews on the 5th Doctor Adventures Conflict of Interest. I'm actually going to mention it now. Won't be recapping this, but I am recapping. I've actually written 5 throwback-ish Big Finish releases, which I am going to be recapping in future episodes. 5? No, 6. Is it 6? No, 5. I was right. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but 3 are of the same. They're a trilogy. One's a lost story, and one is related to a spin-off. You can tease you there. That will be coming up soon. Remote 2. Nick and Benji read out some reviews on the 5th Doctor Adventures Conflicts of Interest. Nick reveals how he structures a 2-episode story. Benji mentions 7-episode story. Nick mentions Doctor Who and the Brain Drain being 7 episodes, which I will also be recapping. That recap, Doctor Who and the Brain Drain might be out by the time you're seeing this. Nick reveals that next episode's cover review guy will focus on Rani Takes on the World Beyond Bannerman Road. That is another one of my throwback recaps that I'll be doing. Behind the scenes for the 1st Doctor Adventures, The Living Darkness are heard. I don't describe this, I don't think I've mentioned this, but I'll mention it here. That I don't even like Doctor Who Unleashed or any kind of behind the scenes or Neighbours or anything. I just don't see the point in explaining behind the scenes. I don't think that is you enjoy that. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments below. I'm more than happy to do that if that's what you want. The first of these episodes, this episode's listeners' emails focus on the Wilderness years. I should mention that's the years between the classic series and the new series, as well as Davros and Sarah Griffiths' Ray. Nick recalls a phone call with Sarah. This email asks a Companion Chronicles question. I will be recapping the next Companions Chronicles, which is titled Families and features the 1st Doctor, Susan, Vicky, Jojo and Stephen. The Curse of Fatal Death is mentioned, which was the 1999 comic relief sketch. Nick gets amusement from Benji attempting to pronounce a difficult word. Benji mentions Nick's VHS collection. The next email mentions Torchwood Reflect, as well as Paul Clayton's Mr. Colchester and Sophie Aldridge's Ace. I have recaps Torchwood Reflect. I think it's actually live on the channel where I'm recording this. Please go check it out if you haven't already. The following email mentions the Sirens of Time Redux. Benji mentions David Tennant. Nick explains his reservations of releasing the Sirens of Time Redux. Nick reads out a review of the Sirens of Time Redux. Benji introduces the Random on Selectron. This episode's release is the Aquanauts. The trailer for the Aquanauts is heard. Benji explains how the Random on Selectron works. Nick previews the next episode of the Big Finish podcast. The end of this episode of the Big Finish podcast ends with the first 15 minutes of the 1st Doctor Adventures of Living Darkness, which I have already written it all. And this is the advantage of writing and recording so far in advance, is that I could do it, and I've found a way of doing it. Like the Lords of Misrule, if I hadn't have got rid of my the deleted the download or got rid of my recap, then I would have done it, but because I found a better way of doing it. But that is my recap of the Big Finish podcast episode that was released on the 5th of January 2025. So in tomorrow's episode, we're back to The Masked Singer with my recap of The Masked Singer Season 6 Episode 2. There is no trailer in this episode, but the return of the trailers will return in tomorrow's episode, and you can wait till tomorrow's episode to find out why that is and what I'll be recapping in 2 episodes' time. We're back to this episode. Let me know what you thought of the Big Finish podcast 5th of January 2025 if you listened to it. Have to remember that with Big Finish it's listening, not watching. And my review, if you didn't, give me thoughts on both of those in the comments below, as well as anything else you want me to cover the channel, such as Jenny previews or recaps. Put those in the comments below as well. And remember, you can also like, comment and subscribe. And that's it for this episode of the Everything Podcast. See you in tomorrow's episode for my recap of The Masked Singer Season 6 Episode 2. Goodbye.